All right, all right. Well, I never finished doing my 2025 best ofs, but we're snowed in. So it seems like a good time to do that and maybe talk about some of the stuff I'm looking forward to in 2026. We'll see if I can get all those videos done. But for today, at least for this moment, I'm going to record a quick video on some of my favorite movies from 2025. And hopefully you've seen some of these. Hopefully you like some of these. And without further ado, let's jump in. So, the first movie I want to talk about is Thunderbolts. And if I'm being honest, I didn't know what to think of Thunderbolts. I mean, obviously, there's several people in this cast that are stellar, and some people I didn't know as well. But I'm always excited to see Florence Pugh. Sebastian Stan's been doing a great job as a Winter Soldier. David Harbour, I've loved in Hellboy and Stranger Things. So, there was a lot to look forward to, but not a lot that I really knew going into the movie. I will say it exceeded my expectations by a long shot. It is a phenomenal movie that delves with grief. Um, it delves into like mental health and depression in a way that is so creative and unique and powerful. And I think it's just a remarkable gift to us. It still manages to be a superhero film while doing that. So Thunderbolts was the first movie I saw in 2025 that made it to my top list. Next up is the live action Lilo and Stitch movie. Took my family to see this. We have been fans of Lilo and Stitch for a long time. Also, there's some adoption themes in there that are very relevant to us that we care about a lot as adoptive parents. But I wasn't sure, again, if I was going to think the live action was great or terrible. Disney's been doing a lot of live action versions of its animated movies and to varying degrees of success, I would say. So, wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this. There was a few things changed, obviously, but I really enjoyed it as a whole. It was very fun. The kids loved it, and it was a good family day at the movies. All right, now this one was for me. I did not watch this with anyone else in my family, and I don't think anyone else is. My kids are not quite ready for it, and my wife is not a fan of this kind of movie. But I was very interested to see Sinners, knowing that this is a Ryan Coogler film, knowing that it's sort of a love letter to blues. It deals with spirituality, it deals with grief, it deals with um, uh, death, it deals with racism. It's just overall just a very powerful movie, and all while being this like kind of vampire horror kind of flick. It was Haley Steinfeld in a role like I've never seen her before, and then Michael B. Jordan did a phenomenal job playing twins. So that's a really amazing thing too. And then the soundtrack was really stellar. This right now is the movie that has broken the record for the most nominations for an Academy Award. And I can say that I think it deserves it. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it does. All right. This we got to see at an Alamo Draft House in Austin. It was a pretty, raggedy Alamo Draft House, but it was the one closest to our hotel when we were there for my son's basketball tournament. And it was really fun to get to go. I love the Alamo Draft House. They closed the one closest to us, and I really miss it. It was my favorite theater to go to. But to be able to go as a family and go see Superman was really quite a blessing and quite a joy. Um, it we knew we were getting into something different when it's James Gunn doing Superman, right? That right off the bat, we had multiple superheroes. I was a little worried because a lot of times when you try to do so much, introduce so many characters, it really bogs down the story and it makes it like less powerful. I thought this was just really well done. It made me feel like I was dropped right into the middle of a universe that already exists. I'm looking forward to see how he continues to fill out this universe. Supergirl looks phenomenal. Um, I left really, really loving this movie, and I'm going to get into this a little bit. I'm going to talk about this movie a little bit more when I talk about Fantastic Four here soon. All right, so here's where it gets a little different this year. Usually, my favorite movies are all straight from the theater. This is one that was on Netflix, and that's Happy Gilmore 2. Now, listen, as a longtime Adam Sandler fan, SNL fan, and a fan of Happy Gilmore, this movie just scratched a lot of great itches for me. It is 100% done to satisfy Adam and the fans. I think there's so many little like jokes in there, so many things that were obviously there just for people like me who watched Happy Gilmore a million times back in the 90s. So you're going to get your money's worth, on streaming, watching it, and I highly recommend it. There's some fantastic cameos and just a lot of great jokes. So yeah, very good, very funny. All right, so I said I would mention Superman again when I got to Fantastic Four. Now, my friend Gary from Backyard Superheroes, who's been on my podcast a bunch, we talked about when these two movies came out. We were both looking forward to Superman and Fantastic Four. When I finished watching Fantastic Four, I said I thought I liked it more than Superman, and he was the other way. He liked Superman more. I need to rewatch them both, I'll say that. But I think as time has passed, I found myself kind of sliding into his camp of liking Superman a little bit more. Superman had a little bit more joy and fun in it, and Fantastic Four was definitely heavier. It deals with some really heavy emotions for sure. What I love about Fantastic Four is I believe it's really kind of starting up the next big phase of Marvel. And I feel like Marvel had kind of faded a little bit as far as movies and TV shows, and to some degree that was a calculated choice on their part. And I think that this is a step towards the future, and I'm really looking forward to it. So the cast was amazing. Everybody who was in this did a great job. Now, I have really liked all the Fantastic Four movies, including the one that got such terrible reviews. I do think that one specifically, the one with Michael B. Jordan as the Human Torch, I think that it was not the best, but I still enjoyed it. But I do think that this cast has a lot to offer to the future of the Marvel Universe, and I'm really excited about that. All right, if you have known me for super long, you may know that I deeply love John Candy. I grew up in a family that really enjoyed a lot of that kind of movie, and specifically, The Great Outdoors was probably the movie my family watched together the most. It was one that I loved to put on. Um, uh, Uncle Buck, there's just, his cameo in Home Alone. There's so many great things that he did, and I just grew up really, really loving all of his characters. Barf from Spaceballs. He passed way too early, and it was a celebrity passing, kind of like Robin Williams, just one of those people that was such a part of my childhood that it was sad to hear that he had passed, and it's been quite a while now. I was very excited to hear that this was coming, and that Ryan Reynolds, who, fellow Canadian of John Candy's, grew up loving John Candy's movies, that this was a passion project for him to be involved in this sort of documentary love letter to John Candy. And it is that. You walk away just finding him that much more endearing and being that much more glad that his movies were a part of your life. I highly recommend it. This was another one that was on streaming. It's on Prime, and I highly recommend that you watch it. Okay, so this one, Wicked for Good. This one is obviously, I talked about at the end of 2024, I was planning on going to see the sequel to the first Wicked movie. My daughter really was passionate about Wicked, loved it when it came out, so I was excited to be able to share it with her. My wife loved it. Very rarely at the end of a movie in a theater does my wife have a dramatic response, but I remember as soon as the first Wicked movie ended, my wife just being like, wow, like that was amazing. So I was very pleased to be able to see the sequel, and it was really good. Not quite as good as the first one, and that's normal. I read something before I went and saw it that, like, if you're a Broadway fan, you're used to the fact that the best part of the musical is the first part. So, but it was really well done. And I had never seen it before the movie, so I can't speak to whether the two additional songs added or took away. I know people have different feelings about those, but I did really love it overall, and I'm really, really glad that we got to share it with our kids. Another great family outing to the theater. And my Christmas gift to my mother was to take her to see this movie, Song Sung Blue. And I will say, I knew that she would love it. Neil Diamond music, Hugh Jackman, Kate Hudson, phenomenal cast, amazing singers. I knew I was going to love it. I knew she was going to love it. This is the kind of movie that my mom really enjoys going to see. However, I will say it was a lot sadder than I thought it was going to be. And this is the very last movie I saw in December. It was a lot sadder than I thought it was going to be, but it was a really, really beautiful movie. And we both walked away really glad that we'd seen it. So I can't speak highly enough about this. It ended up rounding out my top 10. And I will say, I did not see a ton of movies in the year 2025. But the ones that I saw were really great, and these 10 were the top of the litter. So that really wraps up my top 10. I hope that there's something in here that you've seen and that you like. Tell me in the comments what you like, what you didn't like, what you recommend maybe that I missed. And pretty soon I have new videos coming that are going to talk about my top TV shows of 2025, my top podcasts of 2025, and all the stuff that I'm really anticipating for 2026, even though at this point we're like almost a month into it. So I look forward to talking to you guys in the next video.